Okay, Nick Collier here, and it's story time again. And it's about 4 o'clock in the morning, a very perfect time to tell this spooky story. I wanted to wait until October, Halloween, but the story came up. So this goes back to when I first moved to Nevada County. I decided to leave the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, after being there for 24 years, my whole life. And so I packed up my truck, hauled all my stuff up to Nevada County. I had rented a little crappy little duplex off in the residential area, not far from Grass Valley. And the cat wants attention. Ha. And so I hauled all my stuff up and I put it all in the garage, and it turned out that the day that I moved to Nevada County was my 24th birthday, March 30th. A very lonely birthday, by the way. So, I got everything all unpacked and got things into my crappy little apartment, and decided I better go find a job because I only had $50 left. And so went into Nevada City, and almost immediately I walked into the Button Works, and I said, I'm looking for work, and which is something I hardly ever did. And I always, people offered me jobs, I don't know, or I worked for myself mostly, and they had a job for me, and it turned out that they made political buttons. You put it on your lapel pin, and so the button factory downstairs was this, it was filled with machines, button machines that were made in the 1800s. And, although the machines were really well made, they really worked excellent. They were old machines and they kept breaking down, and they needed a machinist to keep them functional. And there I was. So that done, I went back home that evening, back to my little crappy apartment on Ivy Street, and hung out for the evening. And that night I went to bed and went to sleep. And about 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up. And at the time, I didn't realize it, but I was kind of halfway in between that place of being awake and being asleep. You think you're asleep, or you think you're awake, but you haven't got your body movements. And it's at that point it was a little bit scary to do that. And so this particular morning, I woke up and there was a woman standing at the foot of my bed, and she had her arms out and she was speaking to me, but I couldn't hear what she was saying, and it kind of freaked me out. because she was a ghost, and I was like, oh my God, and I got scared, and then I woke up and all was okay. Next night, same thing happened. Next night, same thing happened. Every night I was there, the same thing happened. The woman would show up at the foot of my bed, she would have her arms open, and she would be trying to say something to me. After a while, I tried to figure out what she was trying to say, and I couldn't ever figure it out. So one day I'm in the neighborhood there, and there's a garage sale around the corner. And I went into the garage sale, as I am known to do, and the woman that was at the garage sale and I got to talking, and she said, "Well, where do you live?" And I said, "Well, just around the corner in the little duplex." She said, "Well, there's a pretty interesting story around that duplex." And I was intrigued. And she said, "Well, about 10 years earlier, the building burned down. It was an old Victorian. And there was a woman that was in the building that died in the fire." And I went, "Really?" And so then I told her the story about what had been happening to me. And she said, and I described the woman. And she says, "That's her." And I lived in that little duplex for 3 months before I moved to Oak Valley Herb Farm, a little hippie commune way out in the woods. And I lived in that space, and every night that woman came to me and tried to tell me something. After a while, I kind of got used to her, and I just woke up and, oh yeah, there she is, and then went back to sleep. So there's a little spooky story for you. This is Nick Collier. Check it out.